Welcome everyone to another episode of Tips from My Garage. My name is Lisiate Tonga. I'm a recovering addict. I'm the father of two beautiful boys, husband to a beautiful wife. I'm the owner of online business Upgrade Version U.0 and author of ebook Q&A Between Two Addicts. And today I want to talk to you all about what your reason why is. And I guess what I mean by what your reason why is your reason for why you want to go on your recovery journey. And the reason why this is so important is because you're going to come across many obstacles in your recovery. And you're going to come across times in your journey where you have to be strong and you're going to have to draw strength from somewhere. And so we've talked about a lot of the different places that you can draw strength from. And so I want to touch on them briefly with you now. And we've talked about willpower, willpower being your inner strength that you will draw from to help you to overcome a hurdle or an obstacle. We've talked a lot about prayer and about how to tap into God's power and your communication and relationship with God to help you to overcome your obstacles. We talked about alternate action plans, which is your new plan, which is your new routine, which is going to replace your automatic action plan, which is your old behavior. So we've talked about that. And those are core core things that you're going to use throughout your recovery to draw strength from to help you to overcome obstacles and moments that are going to get really trying and difficult for you. And so you need to find strength from somewhere to help you to stay the course and to continue to carry on. But what happens when you relapse? And what happens when you get down in the dumps? And what happens when everything goes wrong? You can continue to go on your journey and pray and use your willpower and use the strategies that you've learned, and you'll still continue to make mistakes. You'll still continue to fall down, and perhaps not just the fall down or the relapse, but a circumstance in your life can get difficult at the same time. Your relationships could go sour. Something goes wrong at work. These were things that happened in during my journey. It wasn't just having to deal with your vices and your addictions. There was life happening at the same time. Life will continue to happen, and there will continue to be other challenges that you're going to have to deal with. And sometimes those challenges can get overwhelming. And on top of the journey that you're on, it can feel like a very heavy burden and too much. And this could be potentially a breaking point. And I would say that this has been a breaking point for so many that have tried to go on a journey but just couldn't stay the course because things got too much. And so even with all the tools and all the strategies and all the things that we've talked about, is there anywhere else that you're going to be able to draw strength to overcome the hurdles or to help you to ultimately stay the course? And I would say that there is, and that would be the reason for why you are on the journey. Now, I want to start out by saying this up front, and I'll be frank, is a lot of your reasons for why you want to go on this journey, or why you want to curb your addiction, or fix your problem, I guess, is weak. It's not strong enough. And as a result, it keeps you in that vicious cycle. It keeps you in that loop. It keeps you going around in circles and driving yourself mad, and to the point where the frustration is so great that it keeps you going back to your vices. And so I want to go through a few of these reasons, and I actually used Grok to come up with a list of reasons. And my the reasons that I had in my head have actually been touched on by Grok, and I didn't list all of them, but I did want to list five of them because they are pretty common. And so maybe you're using one of these reasons for why you want to stop drinking or slow it down. And so the first one is, the first weak reason for why people try to stop alcohol is because of temporary peer pressure. And what that means is that some people feel judged by others who are not drinking, and also those who don't drink as much. And I can relate to this one. I know that there are people that I had been substance abusing with, that believe that I was going overboard. And so I think that people feel the pressure of that, or they get embarrassed because of it, because they know that other people are judging them, or they might think that other people that aren't drinking are talking about them behind their back. Oh, look at this person is such an alcoholic, or they're such a drunk, or they keep doing these things, or they just smell like alcohol all the time, and they're always annoying, and whatever the case may be. People feel the pressure of that. People feel like they're being judged by others, and so they will want to try to curb their drinking as a result. That would be one reason. Number two would be they detox for a short period of time. So people think, oh, my liver's getting hammered. It's had a beating for a little while. I want to give it a break, and so they'll try to go on a short stint where they will give their body a break so that they can recover. But there's no real intention there to give it up. It's really just so that they can give their body a break, so that they can recharge their batteries, and their stamina, so that their body can take another beating. Or they might jump on another trendy challenge like a dry July or something like that, where they'll jump on a bandwagon with everybody else that's trying to quit. And so that does work for some people. They do go for that period of time without drinking, but at the end of the day, they know that they're coming back to their drink. So it's not really, it's really just kind of a trend. It's a short fix, and they might use it also as an excuse to give their body a break, and to detox for a short period of time, so that they can recharge their batteries and give it a go again. The third reason is they had an embarrassing moment while they were drunk. I can relate to this one as well. I know that I've done a lot of embarrassing things when I was drunk, and I know that there are some people that have done well. It's really funny. I guess it's funny sometimes. When you get together with other people who drink, what you talk about a lot are the times that you had together that were funny, But a lot of the things that were funny about the times that you were talking about that you guys did together were the embarrassing things that you did. And you talk about those embarrassing things and how dumb they were, and also how funny they were, because they were funny at the time, but really, it's something that you can reflect on. And sometimes with fondness, actually, you think back to those memories and think, oh, those were such good days. We used to do this and we used to do that, and it was so silly and so dumb. But some of those embarrassing things that some people have done, and including myself, are just really embarrassing, and they're to the point where it's like you feel that embarrassment sharply, like acutely, and you think, oh, that I'm never going to do that one again. And then so it can be compelling enough to get somebody to stop drinking for a period of time, but the drinking only stops until the guilt or the embarrassment of that particular thing starts to wear off. Or even, like, some people can be so embarrassed that they just want to keep drinking, and they keep drinking because they don't want to remember the embarrassing things that they're doing. And then the ironic thing is that they continue to do embarrassing things because they are still in a drunken stupor. So embarrassing things will shock people enough to want to stop drinking, but it's never really a permanent fix. It's always really until the embarrassment of a particular situation has gone away, or a length of time or period of time has gone by, and then they start to feel the pinch again, and then it's back into the vicious cycle again. And the drinking continues, and then the embarrassing moment continues, and then it's like, let's stop for a little while, and then that gets that gets old. You're not embarrassed anymore, you start drinking again, and it goes on and on. Number 4 is they need to cut back because they're spending a lot. So a lot of people that do drink a lot, they do come to a point where they do contemplate the amount that they're spending, and they do think to themselves, yes, I am spending quite a bit of money on alcohol and on going out and on binging and all this and that. And so they'll think, I need to stop spending so much because it's starting to affect other parts of my life. And so I need to just slow it down so that I'm not getting so out of hand with my drinking, that my spending doesn't get so blown out of proportion. So I need to slow it down. And this would be a reason why people would slow down their drinking. I've never really come across somebody who just stopped altogether because of their spending. It's usually been, and this is including myself, it's always just been just to slow it down. You still want to drink, you just don't want to drink as much, but you need to still have something in you. And so you continue to drink it. But maybe some people have stopped drinking altogether. But if it's a financial thing, and they feel like they have, if they still have their priorities in order, then I people can stop drinking for a period of time until they get over a financial hurdle. But some people will also do the complete opposite. They'll continue to drink because they're in a financial situation, and that would also just make the situation worse. But nevertheless, it is still an excuse for why people will, well, a weak excuse for why people will stop drinking. And the fifth one is that they believe that their weight is getting out of control because of drinking. So people do believe that drinking does make them overweight. And it's not so much the drinking, but the behaviors that come with the drinking. So usually when people drink a lot, they also eat a lot, and they're not very careful about what they're putting into their bodies, because Well, at the end of the day, they're not trying to be health conscious when they're completely drunk out of their minds or blown out of their brains. That's the last thing they want to do is try to be health conscious. It's not salads. It's not salads that people are eating at the end of a big night. It's it's high calorie fried foods, fast foods, fatty foods, processed foods, foods that people can get immediately that they don't need to take time to get to. That's what people are eating. So people are gaining weight because of their their drinking problems, and so people will say to themselves, yes, I need to slow down my drinking because my weight is getting out of control. And people will take a stint where they won't drink for a period of time because they know if they don't drink then they won't eat so bad, and maybe that will help them with their drinking habit, with their eating habits. If they stop drinking, they're not going to eat so bad, and those are two positive things that they'll get out of not drinking. What do all of these reasons all have in common? Well, the first thing that they all have in common is they all lack personal conviction. This isn't something that they're doing of their own. It's driven by something outside of them and not something that's coming from within. That's a choice that they want to make to better themselves. It's just it's something that's outside of them that's affecting them. It's other people's perception of them. It's not driven by anything meaningful. There's no real purpose behind them. There's no real purpose driving them. They're all short-term fixes with no long-term goals or strategies. And that's really the craze today. Is everything is all about short fixes, quick fixes. How do we get from here to there quickly? And there are ways and there are strategies that can be used that can get you from here to there quickly. There are some challenges or some things that can't be shortcutted. They can't be quick fixes for them because they require work to be done to change from the inside out. And things that require a change from the inside out are going to require more time than what a quick fix is going to offer. So I'll give you an example. Like for losing weight, there are so many drugs on the market right now to help you to lose weight quickly. But those are all just short-term fixes. And what they do is they do change your physical composition, your body, but what they don't change is your mindset. And those just because your body changed does not mean that your mind changed. You have a different body, but you have the same brain and you have the same mindset and you have the same psychological deep-seated issues that are wired into your brain, just in a different body. And so in the long run, those things really don't pan out. What you have to do is you have to stay on these drugs for the long term in order for you to sustain that kind of change. And we don't really know a lot of the long term problems that have, or all the long term uh, issues that come with these kind of drugs, because a lot of them are new to the market. Some will have research that has done and can give you give you the pros and cons of these of some of these drugs that are on the market now, but a lot of them are fairly new to the market, and we still don't know really what the long term effects on them are. But you know, it's a short that kind of a short fix is in the long run not a fix at all, and more than that, it can become more problematic in the future. So what you might be doing is just kicking the can of disaster down the road, and at some stage down the road you're not going to be able to kick that can anymore because you might not have the strength to do it, or something happens, and then guess what, everything comes back to you 100-fold. And so yes, you'll get the fix now, and that's such an appealing thing. We all want these quick fixes. We want these quick fixes to do the job now because we want the change now. And and that's why these companies make so much money, is because they know that human behavior is like, we want things now, we don't want things later down the road, even if it means that even if we know that deep down that this isn't really going to fix the whole problem. In the moment it's fixing a problem of my self image, but it's also fixing the problem of other people's perception of me as well, and those are two big things that drive us as humans. We care a lot about what we think of ourselves and what other people think of us. We don't really care about the long-term goals. We don't really care about the long-term strategies. And so the other thing that these reasons have is they don't fulfill one of the core human desires. So we all have a desire for health and wealth and relationships. So as human beings, we have a desire to want to be wealthy or to have status. We have a desire to want to be healthy and strong, and we have a desire uh, for good relationships. And these are the things that we strive for. And all of these weak reasons, they don't fulfill any of these core desires for us, even though we think that they might do that. So my reason for why I wanted to go on my recovery journey is because I wanted to have a family. And the core desire that fulfills is the relationship desire that we have as human beings. I wanted a family, but in the immediate, I wanted I wanted to have companionship. I wanted to have a relationship, because really I just didn't want to be alone all the time. I didn't want to be lonely all the time. And so even though the having a family was my ultimate why, in the moment, in the immediately, what I really wanted to have was a relationship, because the problem that would have solved was my loneliness, me being alone all the time, me not having companionship. And that's what I really was missing in my life at the time. But at the same time, I was thinking forward to getting married and to having a children, to having my own family, to having uh, my own children. And so my reason for why having a family drove me to do the following things. It drove me to quit my job, to 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 stop the career path that I was on, and to completely change the direction of my career path. It it drove me to go to church, to do something that I hadn't done for years. And so that also drove me to develop a relationship with God. And it drove me to find a way to get sober and clean. But the biggest thing that my why did was it helped me, it drove me to stay the course no matter how bad things got. And that's what you have to have. You've got to find something that's going to drive you even when the crap hits the fan and things get as bad as they can possibly get. Your why is going to drive you to continue to pick you up and drive you forward. And what all of these things did, so my why drove me to do those things: quit my job, go to church, find a way to get sober and clean, develop a relationship with God, and to stay the course no matter what. And doing all those things gave me sobriety, which means that it gave me better health. Because I don't substance abuse anymore, I'm a lot stronger and healthier and physically fit than I ever could have been if I would have stayed on that trajectory. Which, if I stayed on that trajectory, I may not have been here. I may not be here right now, or I may not have been here right now. I don't know, but potentially the way that things were going, it just wasn't good on the health side of things. So I became more healthy. What the other thing it gave me was a wife, which was my relationship and the connectivity, the connection and companionship that I was looking for. But the ultimate thing it gave me my children, which means that it gave me my family, which was my ultimate reason for, well, today now my family is the ultimate reason for why I live. I live for my family. And as a result, another thing it gave me was the motivation to start a business to pursue financial independence. And the reason for the pursuit of financial independence is to be able to provide my family in the best way possible, to provide them with the opportunities that I never had, opportunities that they will have that I never had, to be able to create their own lives, to have their own families, and so on. And so all of those things that I received and all those things that I'm doing right now, they all came from me having a strong enough why to stay the course. And so that's what I want you to do is, and what I strongly encourage you to do is to find your own why. And I'll give you a couple of things that your why should have, so that you know that it's going to be a strong enough why that's going to help you to weather the storms that are no doubt going to come your way. The first thing is that your reason why has to have purpose. It can't be something superficial like a a trendy challenge. That's superficial. That's not something that might just be a fun thing, a bandwagon thing that everyone jumps on every now and again. That's not purpose. There's no purpose behind that. And if it, you'll know if your why has purpose if it has meaning. So for me, having a family, the purpose of that was to create something that was outside of myself, something that I could live for other than myself. Having a family, I feel in my belief is one of the is the most purposeful thing that you can do here on this earth, is to create your own family and to give your life the most meaning and to be the most fulfilling it can possibly be. There's nothing more fulfilling and joyful than having your own family and living for your children and loving your children in a way that you're bringing them up in a way that is going to serve the community, that is going to serve your family and loved ones, but most importantly is going to serve God. There's nothing more meaningful than bringing up your children, to raise them up to believe in God and to live a higher standard and with higher values, and to be able to give back to their community and to this world in the most positive and meaningful way they possibly could. I don't think there's anything more meaningful than that. And so, and your reason has to drive you for a lifetime. So it's not going to be something that's fleeting, something that's going to be for a short term or short period of time, or just for a trendy challenge or something like that. It's got to be something that's going to drive you for a lifetime. It has to be something that's going to carry you through the end of your to the end of your days, because that's something that you're going to continue to strive for the rest of your life. There's not going to be an end date to it. It's not going to be something that you're going to do for X amount of time, for a period of time, and then just to give up or to give away and say that that was a nice thing that I did. And I'm glad that I did it, but it's back to doing what I normally do. you know when you don't have a purpose, when you don't live with purpose, then you're living for whatever. If you're not driven by something that is going to give you purpose and meaning, then you're going to be driven by whatever the trendiest thing is that's going, or by you're going to jump on every bandwagon or be blown in the wind like the leaves in a tree, just going this way or that way, because you have no reason for why you're existing. Purpose will allow you to live the best version of yourself for the rest of your life. And if you don't have something to live for like that, then you need to find something like that, that's going to, and it doesn't have to be something that's overly complicated. People can say, yeah, I want to have wealth, or I want to be healthy, or I want to have good relationships. Well, it's got to be deeper than that, doesn't it? You have to ask yourself why again, and then you need to keep asking yourself why until you get to the dominant motive for why you would want to do something, and then that would be your purpose. So, for an example, you can ask yourself, you can say, well, my core desire is to be wealthy. Okay, that's good to have money, but why do you want to have money? Well, because I don't want to be broke anymore. Well, why don't you want to be broke anymore? Well, because that's something that, that's how I was brought up. That's how my family was. My family's been broke. I was brought up that way. I still have that kind of way of thinking. And I don't want to live like that anymore. Okay, so well then, if you don't want to be broke anymore, well, so what do you think it will do for you? What do you think having wealth will do for you, or what can you do with your wealth that can be meaningful and give you purpose? Well, I can help those in need. I can teach other people how to do the same. I can actually have the financial freedom that I never had when I was growing up, and then I can teach that to my children so that they don't have to grow up the same way that I did. That's something that's meaningful, because then you're taking something like a core desire like health, but you're turning it into something that's purposeful, you know, but you have some reasoning behind it and some reasons for why to back it up. I grew up without money. My family didn't have money. They were always broke. As a result, I was broke. I have a broke mentality. I don't want that anymore. I want to have money, but more importantly, I want to teach my children to be able to learn how to have their own financial independence, so that they don't have to go through the same thing that I do. That's meaningful. That's being purposeful. That's just one example. But I'm just showing to you, just saying to you, you've got to uncover, you got to peel the onion back a little bit so that you can see what it is, so that you can have a better understanding of how your own personal values will be attached to one of these desires, your wealth, your health, and your relationships. Ask yourself why, ask yourself how, ask yourself what, all of these questions, so that you can come to a better understanding of how your values are going to align with these core desires, and so that you can create a purpose that's going to drive you for the rest of your life, and more importantly, that's going to be able to give you motivation when you feel you need it the most, when you're down in the dumps, when everything is going wrong, when crap is hitting the fan. Your why is going to pick you up and drag you over the finish line, so that you get to where you want to go. That's how strong your why needs to be. And I want to leave you with this quote, and this quote is from Friedrich Nietzsche, and he said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." And I think that that is true. If you find a strong enough why for why you want to do something, it's really not going to matter how you get there. You're just going to do it. You'll find a way to do it. You can have a strategy and a way to get from here to there all mapped out, but at the end of the day, it still requires grit. It still requires determination. It still requires motivation, and you need to know where to get these things from. And one of the the biggest ways, the best ways for you to find the strength to do what you don't want to do but know you have to do, is by having a strong enough why to do it. I hope that was helpful, and I will talk to you next time. 1, 2, 3.